The Shadow Systems CR920P. Let's check it out. When Glock introduced their Model 43, it was a big switch for Glock. It was a very small gun, very easy to conceal, but it was a single stack and it only holds 6 rounds. But Shadow Systems really capitalized on the size, and with their CR920 series, it was a 10-round magazine and pretty much the same size as your standard Glock 43. The 43X, which we're going to also compare it to, has a longer grip. And to be honest, it's difficult for me to conceal, especially appendix carry. That grip just kind of sticks out. And we're going to talk about some of the reasons why. Because the Glock 43X and 48 are excellent firearms. But with the CR920, it brings the form factor down to be a very small package. Even when you add the Shield Arms 15-round magazines in the Glock 43X, the model CR920 puts 13 rounds in even a smaller package and a smaller grip. But with the new CR920P, you have a compensator on the end, and it is built in. It's a Tri-Lug quick detach muzzle brake, and it really tames the recoil. And we want to give a big thank you to Shadow Systems for sending the CR920P for this review. The CR920P. The CR920 came out a while back and it's been very popular. One of the reasons is because it is a very small size in a Glock style pistol. CR920P, and the P is designated for the compensator on the front. And so this is brand new from Shadow Systems, and this is a very unique compensator system. One of the things you'll notice is how flat the front of this CR920 is. And it mates perfectly with this compensator. The big plus is this is a Tri-Lug QD detachable compensator. It's self-indexing, it's self-locking, and it reduces recoil up to 40% according to Shadow Systems. And so that is really what we're going to be looking at. But honestly, this is the first time I've had any experience with the CR920, and I've been wanting to check it out. And so we're going to go ahead and check to make sure it's unloaded. We got a 10-round magazine, chamber's empty. And then we also have a 13-round magazine, and we have a base plate with a pinky extension if you want to have that on your 10-round magazine. And so this gives you quite a bit of capacity for this small size. Now, are there guns that have this or even more capacity with the same size? Yes. And that's not really what makes it unique. But what does make this very unique, and we're going to put the 10-rounder back in it, is that this is really the size of a Glock 43. The 43 has a 6-round mag capacity. And when the single stacks were the rage, the Glock 43 was just super popular. Once SIG introduced their P365, and then subsequently a lot of other companies produced the Hellcat, Smith & Wesson, M&P Plus. I mean, there's a huge list. It really just kind of took the G43 and made it somewhat obsolete because it's a small gun, but yet the P365 is the same size and has 4 additional rounds. But one thing that Shadow Systems did that I've not seen anybody else do is to come in with a Micro 9 Glock style, same size as your G43 with 6 rounds, minus the comp. It's the same size, and yet 10 rounds or 13 rounds. And that was a big plus because this makes it a much smaller pistol. Because when you bring in the G43X, it has a much longer grip. And so this really, both of them are 10 rounds, and yet you can see there is a considerable difference here. Now, of course, if you bring in your Shield Arms mags, and we're going to take a look at all that in a minute, it definitely ups the game for the Glock 43X, and I love this gun. But one of the things about it is whenever I appendix carry this gun, it prints no matter what I do. The grip is just long. Now, why is that? Well, you have a polymer magazine over a steel insert, and this polymer adds thickness, and that's just what Glock uses. That's what they're going to continue to use, and so it limits their round capacity. This is a single stack 10 round magazine. Throw in the Shield Arms mag, you get 15 rounds, but it doesn't change the size of the grip. Now guys, there's a ton of people out there that carry the Glock 43X, love it, I love it. I love shooting it. I will carry it on my hip at 4 o'clock, but I don't carry it appendix. And that's one thing that you're going to be able to do a little better with the CR920. One of the things about the CR920, and I'll go ahead and bring this out right up front, is that they had some reliability issues right up front. And the big problem was they had a barrel design that caused issues. And it was called the butt barrel because it had a line that went right up through here, and it just didn't work. The beautiful thing about Shadow Systems is they replaced any barrel. If you have that barrel in your gun, they will send you a brand new barrel at no charge. Even though there were a lot of those barrels, the butt barrels, that were functioning fine. So when I got this one, I was really curious about reliability, and we'll go through all that at the range. The beautiful thing about this comp, they wanted to make it as small as possible. And what it does, it brings it in about the same size as your G48 Glock. Now you can see I've had some work done to this one. In fact, Robbie at Wheaton Arms did this, just ported the barrel. But same size. In fact, this gun will fit any of your G48 holsters. So you have that longer length, which is not a problem to conceal with a short grip. Now, according to Shadow Systems, you're getting a 40% reduction in muzzle rise. And that's big, especially with these smaller pistols. Again, it is self-indexing, but it's also self-locking. When you pop that in, it locks it down. Then when it comes to threaded barrels, you don't have to worry about it if you live in a state that doesn't allow that. With this Tri-Lug system, it just gives you a really close, tight fit with a very small footprint. So it's a very short comp, and a lot of that has to do with the way this is designed. But it's going to be very effective. And guys, at the range, it is very effective. When it comes to the comp, you can see the flat, flush fit between the two just makes it very appealing as far as the appearance. This is very simple to take off. You need to remove the barrel to get it off, but it's a fairly simple system. And when we do the disassembly, I'm going to show you how easy it is to take this comp off. Another advantage with Shadow Systems is it has a multi-footprint optics ready plate. And so you can mount optics directly onto the slide. I think the Holosun 507 and 407Ks, the Shield footprint, and the Swamp Fox footprint will all fit on here, and they have the spacers and everything you need to immediately put it on. Now here I have the Holosun 507K installed. In that multi-footprint, there's a number of different sights that you can put on here. Again, it's flush fit to the slide, which allows for 1/3 co-witness with your red dot. You still see the sights, they're not extended up high, it sits low. I love that. It gets that sight closer to the bore, and it just makes it a better package. And I think that's one thing that Shadow Systems has done, and we're seeing more and more companies doing this without any kind of adapter plates. Now also, I have one of the finger grooves on the magazine. This comes with a flush base plate, but you get the extra finger groove. What this does, it gives you a full grip with those 3 fingers. And of course, I have medium-sized hands. If you have large hands, it may slide a little bit off. But pretty much, you've got a better grip. But the big thing is it makes it easier to conceal because the grip comes toward the front. And this is what prints, this area right here. And so with that longer grip with the G43X, you know, it just made it more difficult. This gives you that option. But one thing to note is that the Shield Arms mags do not work in the CR920P or CR920 series. They just don't work. For one thing, they don't have the cut on the other side, but even with the new Gen 2s, they don't work because it's thick and it doesn't seat, it doesn't catch on the mag release. And so the Shield Arms mags are not going to work in your 920. Your Glock factory mags, they will insert. They'll go right in. The problem is they don't function. And we shot it, it'll even hold the slide back. But testing it at the range, we could not get it to work reliably. But the good thing is with the Shadow Systems magazines, they're about $25 a piece. So these are a heck of a lot cheaper than even your Shield Arms mags. Now I love the Shield mags, and I use them in my G43X and my G48. But they're, about 40 bucks. So, it's definitely one of those things where it's not hurting that the CR920 uses just proprietary mags. We have a night vision tritium sight on the front, then a blacked out rear at the back. These co-witness with the red dot. Really nice beaver tail area right here that surpasses, the Glock. It gives it more surface, and that's going to allow you to get better control of the gun. We have memory pads on either side, and they do act as little rest just to help with recoil management. This is the Elite version. They do two different versions. They're standard, and then they do their Elite. At this point right now, the CR920P is only in the Elite version. Slide is 17.4 stainless steel. One thing about the serrations too is they actually go into the slide, these pockets. And so it allows for a thinner, easier way to pull back on those serrations. And it's part of the design of Shadow Systems. And even the relief cuts here, it gives you a lot of surface, a lot of texturing on the slide to be able to grab in multiple areas. The barrel is 3.75 inches in length, and one of the things that Shadow Systems does is they make their tolerances a little tighter than your standard Glock. It gives you better accuracy, it gives you better fit overall. And one of the things about that is they recommend to have a 200 round break-in period. Now that caused a lot of stir with different people because they said no gun needs to have a break-in period. Let me just say this, if you're going to depend on a gun for self-defense, you need to put 200 rounds through it before you carry it, period. And so it's no different than this, they're just stating it. Slide release does come out just a little bit, so it makes it really easy to grab hold of. And so, and it's not ambidextrous. And we have a one slot Picatinny rail, which is, guys, honestly, the one slot, a lot of people say, why don't you have multiple slots? But this makes this a very clean operation, and you can fit many of your weapons lights on here. The barrel is fluted, and this is in the black. They do make a version that's bronze that's really nice. But if you like the black, I personally prefer a black gun. It's just me. But the bronze is beautiful. And when it comes to trigger pull, you have that trigger safety right here, just like you do on standard Glocks. It's more of a straight, flat face, not so much of a curve. And then we have some take up here, hits a wall, and then we have our break. One of the things about Shadow Systems is the trigger gets better with time. It's not the best trigger. It's very similar to the Glock. Reset right there. So reset is really fast. But again, the more you shoot this gun, the better this trigger is going to smooth out. Check the trigger pull weight with our Lyman trigger gauge from Brownells. £5 pounds, 13.8 ounces. 5 pounds, 1.9 ounces. According to where you get it on the trigger. But because that trigger is so slick, it just slides off. I will say that before I took it to the range, and we shot about 500 rounds through it, actually 600 because we did a lot of jacketed hollow points. The trigger was a lot heavier. It was coming out at about just over 6 pounds. So just with that 600 round shooting, it dropped it down, honestly, almost a pound. And so you're going to get that smoother trigger pull the more you shoot it. I want to give a big thank you to Fiocchi for sponsoring the ammo, all made right here in the USA, one of the largest suppliers of ammunition in the country. shooting some 115 grain, but we also have some 124 grain XTPs, and so we're going to test them out. And we also appreciate Lula loaders, saving our thumbs. That feels good. It just feels good. First shots, feels good. So far, so good. Flat shooting, flat, super flat shooting. I've been hearing a lot about the CR920. This is the first experience I've had with it. With the P model, that comp, man, I mean, the red dot just stays right on track. You can co-witness with your sights. Very soft shooting. Love the texturing on the grip. 13+1 magazine is what I'm going with now. Of course, you can go with the red dot or without, but that gives you a little more point to be able to rack the slide. It's just very flat shooting. You know, a lot of people kind of back and forth about the compensator on here, but when you consider that that is going to give you advantage and it doesn't take away from the length to conceal carry. The links down here in the grip that really prints. Up here it doesn't. And it's about the same length as a G48, so all your G48 holsters fit. But man, it's a good shooting gun. I just love it. I mean, it's got that Glock feel to it, yet it's improved. The grip, definitely have a better grip to it. And again, it's like shooting a G43 with a higher capacity. And then with the comp, it makes it just over the top. The CR920P definitely, because of the comp, just has less muzzle rise. But the G43X is still a nice shooting gun. Getting a good solid grip on this gun, you can keep that muzzle pretty tame. But with the CR920P, the comp definitely comes in. It feels better in your hand as far as how it comes back. You have to really grip the G43X to keep it flat. With that comp, it just allows the gases to escape, makes it just easier shooting. Like the grip texture on the CR920 as well. The muted grip on the Glock, you know, while it's fine, and I love this gun, this definitely has it topped in the grip section as well. We're going to shoot some of the Fiocchi 124 grain jacketed hollow points, and these are the XTP rounds, just to see how it functions. First mag. The more power of the caliber or the bullet seems to make this comp work even better. So those jacketed hollow points, self-defense rounds, this is going to capitalize on this comp. Now, I had a lot of questions about reliability, and because of the original butt barrel with the crease right down here in the angle. And so, and with a small pistol like this, reliability can be a little finicky. And so, really, I was watching for it. Now, on the second magazine, I did have one malfunction. It was just a failure to feed. It just kind of got up and stuck. Again, after that, we shot 600 rounds altogether, and we didn't have any other malfunctions. And so, again, one of the things that Shadow Systems says is to make sure that you do have a 200 round break-in before you carry the pistol, and I definitely agree with that. For disassembly, just like your Glock, drop your mag, check the chamber, pull the trigger, pull back on your slide about 1/8 of an inch, and then the slide comes off. We have a steel dual captive recoil spring and guide rod. To remove your barrel, we've got to remove the comp. Now, right down here is a detent, and on the side's a small port. We want to get that detent, and we just want to depress it. Once you hold it in, you just push at the back, right like that, and it unlocks, just like that. And then you just pull it off. Now you can see the Tri-Lug adapter here. This just locks it in. Again, it's self-indexing, so it locks right in there. It's very simple to do. At first, when I got mine, it was kind of tight. Then we're just going to remove our barrel. And obviously, you have to remove the comp before you remove the barrel. Get a better look at the comp. You can see where it just flips down. And again, that detent locks that into place. You have a crown on the end of your compensator. Just very well done, very flat, and so that just allows it to mate directly with the slide. When it comes to the slide, you know, it's just very well finished, and we've shot again about 600 rounds through this one. Of course, you have your striker safety right here. Your striker, I mean, very similar to the Glock. Here again, just the interior, very well done. Now that's all you need to do to field strip. For reassembly, we're going to, in reverse order, put in our barrel. And we're going to go ahead and bring it out so we can put our comp on. Now when putting your comp on your barrel, of course the barrel needs to be extended. So we just bring it down, making sure that it locks into place on your barrel. So it's flush, and then you can turn and lock that. If you are not careful, you can get it out of sync if you start to turn it. So just make sure that it's in that position. Next, we're going to take our recoil spring and guide rod, and then we're going to bring it over our slide. And we're back in business. Now the gun comes in a cardboard box, but you do have a really nice gun case. Double zippers. Open it up, and we've got the extra mag, we've got our base plate, we've got the tool, we have the mounting options for red dots. And then here at the top, you have a little compartment where you can keep your guns well protected. And so the CR920, I mean, it has this feature with it, which is really a big plus. Typically gun boxes just go in storage, so this makes it very usable. And the Shadow Systems owner's manual, it's very detailed, a lot of information in there, and then also a separate sheet on how to install or to remove your compensator. From what I'm seeing, these are running about $1,100. And of course, obviously a Glock 48's much cheaper than that, about half that price. But you're getting a lot of features all along the slide, a lot of the cuts, the stippling on the grip. The compensator is a huge plus. The match barrel, and of course it is optics ready, so it would be more of the MOS version. I mean, the one thing that Shadow Systems tries to do is make the gun you want right out of the box. And honestly, I don't know of anything that I would do to this handgun personally. What are some pros and cons? Big pro, the comp, it's definitely a proprietary type system that you're not going to find on other handguns, and so it gives it that very short yet very effective compensator to tame your recoil. Love the grip, very textured, very nice, undercut with a double undercut. Slide cuts, very well done, deep, easy to grab, and of course with the Elite version, I mean, you've got a lot of options. Fluted, match grade barrel. Of course, you've got your Glock sights that you can replace these with if you want to change things out. And you have multi-footprint for a red dot optic that'll go directly onto the slide, which will give you 1/3 co-witness even with standard sights. Love the Beaver tail, that gives you a little more advantage. What are some cons? Well, the price is definitely one of those things that you get what you pay for. And so that's definitely something to consider. Also, the trigger is fine. I mean, it's not the best, but once you shoot it, the more you shoot it, the smoother it gets. And then, of course, with the 200 round break-in period with some, you know, it's going to be a con because they really feel like the gun should just function flawlessly right out of the box. And that doesn't always happen. And again, if you're going to carry a gun for self-defense, you need to put 200 rounds through it. Another plus is the magazines. I mean, they're running under $30, and you're getting that 13-round magazine or a 10-round magazine, and then of course you have the finger groove that you can replace this base plate with. So it gives you a high capacity with a very small package, again, about the size of your Glock 43, and yet with the capacity of a Glock 48 or 43X with a shorter grip. And the texturing on the Glock is much to be desired. I really like this grip. Great gun, but I think that Shadow Systems has come in with something that to me is more effective for concealed carry. For me, the reliability was excellent. I mean, we had one little bobble right at the front, and again, it was when we had first got started, second magazine. But then all the subsequent rounds burned right through it, and guys, with that small little compensator on there, it just makes this a real pleasure to shoot. And the big plus is you can get those fast follow-up shots and stay right on target. So guys, if you love the Glock Model 43, but it just doesn't have the round capacity, and you're not a big fan of the Glock 43X because it just has too long of a grip, the CR920P, or the 920 series in general, really allows you to have a high capacity micro 9, and yet with the same Glock form factor, which is a proven design. And then of course with the slide cuts and a lot of the other features that Shadow Systems offers, they're really taking it up a notch. And for you to take your standard Glock and trick it out and do all the slide cuts, go with the with the optics ready version with the more aggressive texturing, this is a great gun to take a look at. Not only the CR, but the DR and the MR versions. Shadow Systems has really put out some really cool firearms. And again, a big thank you to Shadow Systems for sending the CR920P for this review. Be strong, be of good courage. God bless America. Long live the Republic. First thing we do is pull back. Nope, we don't pull back. We don't pull back. Make sure that you don't turn the comp, but that you actually turn the lock itself. What's the phone doing? Shorter grip, which gives it, whoops, it's just a canvas that's ready to be changed. Game for the G43 is the advent of, okay, it just kind of puts that full-size grip on here. Well, it sounds like some, but this makes this a very clean operation, and you can fit many of your red dots on here. Well, is that they are proprietary. We'll talk about that in a minute. And it only holds 6 rounds.